Hawaiian princess named Ruth. She's the great-granddaughter of King Kamehameha the First of the Great. If you've never heard of that king, first off, he was the only one, only Hawaiian chief that was able to unify the islands. He brought all of the islands under one roof, which was his. So this is his great-granddaughter. Because of her lineage, this princess had a lot of land. If you guys look her up, one big thing you're gonna read about her is how much land she owned. She mainly lived on the Big Island in Kailua Kona, but she had land on every single Hawaiian island. Here in Kauai, this is one of her properties. She also had property about 15 minutes away, where Kalapaka Bay is at. But she owned 9% of the island chain. 353,000 acres was hers. Now, the princess came here during her summer breaks, and one day she ended up meeting the Rice family. The Rice family came over from the East Coast, and they were missionaries here in the island. And William Hyde Rice is who she got to meet. Over the years, as neighbors here on the island, they got to know each other very well. And eventually, the two families, the princess and the Rice family, became very close. The Rice family had some children. Their princess took to the kids, adopted every single one of them as if they were her own grandchildren. Now, the reason that I say that she fell so hard for the Rice family children is the passing of her kids. She had lost all of them due to illnesses. They passed away very young. So she had that bond. She'd lost that bond with them. So the Rice family, 8 kids. Every single one of them was her grandchild. So they said because of that, when she looked to who's going to inherit this land when she's gone, she looked to a family who she loved and trust. So naturally the Rice family. In 1872, the princess sold the family here 6,000 acres, 4,200 acres here. Take a look over the mountain here. The lowest point you guys can see, from that to the ocean below, is another 1,800 acres that they purchased. So 6,000 acre purchase, guys, $3,000 back in 1872. Can you imagine that, though? Buying this for 50 cents an acre? That's crazy. But anyways, the family guys bought the land under a verbal agreement that they could never develop the property. They had to keep it the way it was. Now, for a family to basically keep that promise still today, that says a lot about them. So if you guys take a look around you right now, and as we're driving through the property, you're not going to see, you know, a lot of big buildings or anything like that. You're going to see fence line, you're going to see houses for the family members, and then maybe a few zipline towers down the road. So for a family to keep the land, not develop it or sell parcels and allow that for development, you know, it says a lot. So for us as locals, we love the family because they're keeping another big chunk of Hawaii. You know, I'm not going to come out here and see Starbucks or Macy's. Nothing against them, but you know, I'd rather see it like this. So we love the family for that. But anyways, guys, the family, when they purchased the land, decided to use this to make some money. But again, because they didn't want to commercialize and have big structures out here, they turned to agriculture. So they grew sugarcane here from 1872 to 1962. Anyone here from the West Coast? West Coasters, raise your hands. All right. Now, West Coast is where this is very popular, but it's a sugar company called C&H. You guys heard of C&H sugar before? Yeah? You guys know what C&H stood for?
California and Hawaii.
You get an extra snack at the lunch stop, all right? So, yeah, California and Hawaii, guys, Kipu Ranch, just know, was a very big part of that company getting started. We ran sugarcane and provided sugar for them from 72 to 1962. Then we decided that sugarcane is no longer for us, and cattle is going to be our main operation instead. Cattle, over that way, guys. You guys take a look in the field. You can see some of our co-workers out there. Now, before I talk a little bit about the cows, people always ask what happened to sugar. Why did we hop out of the industry? I'll give you guys a hint. I'll let you see if you guys can figure this one out. 1959 is the reason we hopped out of sugarcane. What happened to Hawaii in 1959?
Statehood.
All right, yeah. Wow, my younger crowd. All right. So yeah, we've become a part of the United States, which meant labor laws and minimum wages. 300 immigrant workers brought over for cheap labor here on the ranch. Got to pay them by the hour rather than by the day, and also we can't work them as hard as we want to. So profits went down, and that's why the family decided cattle that they're already running on the ocean side should be the main operation, because it only took about 4 cowboys to run that. So that's why they decided to switch over to cattle. A lot less manpower, a lot less resources were needed. A little easier to operate with cattle here on the property. So yeah, big change since then. Now, cows, not the most riveting subject, but I got to tell you guys a little bit about them. Now, because of the war between vegans and people that are not vegan, I won't go into that part. But what I will go into is cattle, guys, are responsible, are a big part of why you guys hear the Hawaiian music you guys hear today. You guys ever heard Hawaiian music? Ukuleles and slaki guitar? All right, cool. Just know that Hawaiians never had any string instruments. The string instruments were brought over because the Hawaiians needed help. Now, what they needed help with was cattle. They were given to the Hawaiians as a gift in 1793, and the Hawaiians didn't know what to do with them. So they basically let the cows run wild, but no one could hunt them or touch them. So they reproduced and started getting into everything, causing trouble. So Spanish cowboys were eventually brought to Hawaii to help the Hawaiians how to ranch, and so did the Portuguese. They came over shortly after that. But that's when the first 2 string instruments were brought over to Hawaii, and that's where Hawaiian music that you hear today kind of stems from. They finally have string instruments. The Hawaiians found that instruments very interesting, and a lot of the older Hawaiian music that we hear are actually country songs from back in the day, just turned into Hawaiian. So if you guys ever hear ukuleles or slide guitar, it's because of those guys being brought to the island. But anyways, I'll end the cattle topic on that. This is animated for Lilo and Stitch. So if you've seen that movie, you've seen our ridgeline here. The ocean side, you have the 1,800 acres there. On the beach, we did 6 days, 7 nights with Harrison Ford. And Jurassic Park #1, there's a specific scene with Dr. Grant and the 2 kids. Now, anybody remember the first Jurassic Park first off? Yeah, okay. Now, in the first one, Dr. Grant, 2 kids, they're in a field. They're standing in a grassy field. There's a herd of dinosaurs running in the distance. The little boy guesses what they are, Gallimimus, and then Dr. Grant tells it's on 2 different islands. One scene, 2 locations. Running through the fields here in Kauai. Hopping over the log, 90 miles away. They're over on Oahu for that one, at the Kualoa Ranch with the Long Islands. But right now, guys, really good photo opportunity. We have Ecuador, Costa Rica, and Africa. With The Rock, they were on island for about a month or 2, and they did a few days of aerial shooting here on the ranch. So we're hoping that we make the final cut. But it's just to ensure that we try to get you guys to our tour safely. Stay on the trail, run it all over, stick with the pace that we set though. 3 things, guys, to keep in mind. If you do that, you should be able to get through our tour just fine. But just in case, guys, a few more in-depth things. Obstacles, roots, rocks, and ruts, you're going to encounter those. A rut is a low point that Troy's been walking in. If you see a low point, you want to straddle that. So that low point goes between your tires, so where his feet are is where your tires should be. Low point between your tires keeps the vehicle flat, keeps you guys level. If you guys slide into the rut today, which might happen, it's okay. You're still on the trail, so don't freak out, all right, guys? But anyways, do your best to stay on trail and straddle the ruts if you see them. Now, parts of our tour, you'll see ruts that are side by side. You want to put your tires in those, and you'll treat those like a track because they're caused by the vehicle. So a single rut, straddle it, 2 ruts side by side. Again, drive in that one, right? Now, whatever's out there in the way, like I mentioned, always run it over. Avoiding obstacles could mean climbing berms or banks, which then could result in a rollover. So again, just stick to the trail. Sticking with the pace of the tour, guys, we see the pace of the tour change for a couple of different reasons. The first one, someone doesn't like driving down any steep hill. They end up on the brakes a lot. What I mean by that is we end up with something that looks like this. Now we see this maybe 2 or 3 times a week. First time they drive down a steep hill, the driver does this. So you guys kind of get the idea, but we have that happen, you know, on tour, guys. What happens is the vehicles in front continues on with the smooth, steady pace. By the time you get to the bottom, the group could be a mile away. So you try to catch up to that, you try to pick up speed, and it trickles back to the vehicle behind you, and then we result in a rollover, crashing into something. So smooth and steady going downhill, guys. If you're going to use the brakes, feather the brakes. Always keep your vehicle rolling, right? Never locking up on them. If you manage to lock up the brakes on a hill that happens to be wet or has a lot of gravel on it, the vehicle's not going to stop. It'll actually slide out of control. So always feathering the brakes, guys, never locking up on them. The other way that the pace of the tour kind of changes is someone will stop on purpose. They'll wait, they'll hang out, they'll let the group get away from them, and then they'll pin the throttle to fill that gap in that they created with a whole bunch of speed. We call that slingshotting, the leading cause to some of the more serious accidents that we've ever seen on tour, and the quickest way to become a passenger with a tour guide. We'd hate for someone to get hurt, like I mentioned. So stick with us, guys. We'll pick it up where we can. I'll slow it down where I have to. Last but not least, guys, getting off trail sometimes could mean that you're putting the vehicle in a position where it'll start to lean. Now, for a lot of people, when the vehicle leans, they're totally cool with it. For others, though, when it starts to lean, they freak out, mayhem, they panic. Every safety rule is gone and out the window. The first safety rule I gave you guys was to keep your arms and legs inside, and that was because when the vehicle would lean, that's the first thing we see anyone do. They'd reach for the ground. Your brain tells you to save yourself, so you'll do exactly that. You'll put an arm out. I've seen someone stick a leg out over the door before. I'll let you guys use your imagination. But anyways, guys, sticking something out, again, can result in you getting caught under the vehicle. So stay inside, lean away from the ground. And then another thing that happens in this situation is the second safety rule, the gas and brake thing. People have gone for the brakes, but you punch down on the gas pedal instead and went flying off the hill. Now, if you do go flying off the hill, you never know what's on the other side of the trees or the bushes. For example, 50 feet to the bottom, right behind you guys, 50, all the way to the bottom there, yeah. Goes down further than it looks. in front of you guys, right here, is even worse than that 50 feet drop. This one here is only about 10 to 12 feet, but there's 2 porta potties at the bottom. Alright, that's gonna be bad on 2 different levels there. So always make sure that when you're uncomfortable, guys, your foot's off of the gas pedal, alright? Making sure your foot's away, and then if you have to take a split second to look for the brake, I mean, do that. I mean, quick second, look down, apply the brake, come to a stop. If you're in this situation, we'll come by to help you guys out. If you can get out of it on your own, turn to the center of the trail, ease yourself back in. Sometimes we get padding turns, overcorrections. They go from here to there, back across to here, and then back to the other side. It's a rodeo ride the whole way down through, or throughout the trail. Usually those guys are eventually off course and in the bushes. So stick with us, guys. Stop if you need help. We'll be right there. Our trail's not extreme, guys, but people have made mistakes in the past to get themselves or their loved ones hurt. So we just want to make sure that you guys are always on course, running everything over. But again, stopping if you guys ever need help today. We're going to hang a left at the bottom of this hill, guys, because that's all I have for you to, for the safety. We got porta potties just in case anyone has to tinkle after seeing the hill. Just kidding. But if you got to go, the bumpier portion of the tour is coming up, so I want to make sure you guys get that out of the way. Yeah, they flush. They flush. I mean, it's still a porta potty, though. But yeah, any questions? You guys all good about safety?
How are you going to fix that?
Oh, it's not as... You'll see how boring it really is. Well, because I've been doing this for a long time. I'm going to do this, and you're going to be like, wow. Ready? I'll do it with my eyes closed. Did I do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so not as exciting as you would think. But anyways, guys, I'm going to back this thing up, and we'll make our way out of here.